Hi there, it is Tuesday and welcome to my kitchen. You are cooking with Evey. My name is Evey Schweig. I am a holistic health coach and anti-inflammatory specialist. And every Tuesday I am cooking in my kitchen. So today we are making a wonderful, hearty, delicious soup, which is as healthy for us as it is tasty. It's anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. Why? Because it contains ingredients that have a lot of vegetables in them that are known to have anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties, namely cruciferous vegetables, which is the broccoli that's in our creamy broccoli soup. We also have garlic and onion. So I actually had prepped the recipe and got it to the stage where it was simmering on the stove. My video cut out. So let me just tell you what I have in my pot here, okay? What I did was I chopped up, diced 1 carrot, 1 onion, and 1 stalk of celery, 4 green onions or scallions, and sauteed them in some coconut oil. Like so. Sauteed that up. When the onions had started to soften, the other vegetables soften as well, I chopped up my broccoli and I added that in and let that saute. All of that took maybe about 5 minutes, 6 minutes to do. At that point, what I did was add in some chicken broth. I had some homemade chicken broth that I made. I added in about 4 cups of chicken broth and I let that simmer for about 20 minutes. Just before the end of that, I added 2 good handfuls of spinach, another anti-inflammatory food that I added in later on just so that it stayed nice and green. You could add in any type of green at this point. I could have added in some kale, for instance, or some Swiss chard. But I really like spinach because it has a very mild flavor. If you're looking to add in more greens into your diet, getting in more vegetables, spinach is a good one because it doesn't add a very strong flavor, but it does have a lot of health benefits. So at this point, let me show you what our soup looks like. Let me just grab some pot holders here. To show you. So this is our mix. All right. It's a wonderful, smells delicious. So I'm just going to move our bowl of soup out of the way here and grab my container for my Vitamix. Now, I could use a blender stick or a stick blender and just stick this in the pot and blend it all up. But I find that I like the way it looks because it blends up a lot creamier and smoother when I use my Vitamix. So we're going to do that today. Let me just spoon some of this so you can see what we have here. And I'm going to spoon that into my container here. I'll probably need to do about 2 batches of this. I don't want it to overflow, especially when it's hot like this. The steam can sometimes push the lid off. Get some of the juices. Here we go. All right, that's probably good enough. We just put this back on the stove. All right. Grab my top. Where did I put the top to my Vitamix? Here we go. Let me just rinse it off. I had done a prior batch. Okay. So, I like to take the handle off, the little top here, the little feed tube too, just to allow the steam to escape. See that? I don't know if you can see the steam coming up from the top. If you're looking for the written recipe, you can go to my YouTube channel. You can go to my website, eveyschweig.com, and look under my recipe tabs. I have a little tab under there that's called Cooking with Evey. All of the recipes that I do on Tuesdays are located there. It's a nice, quick way to do that. If you'd like to see a recording of my recipes, you can go to my YouTube channel. Let me show you now what we have here. A nice, beautifully green broccoli soup. Let me just transfer this a bit and add in the rest of the soup so we can blend that all up. I did add an additional cup of broth while this was cooking, so for a total of about 5 cups of chicken broth in the recipe. Okay. Cruciferous vegetables contain something called sulforaphane, which is a anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory ingredient, which makes them especially good fighting cancer. Let me just pour that out. Look at that. That's great. All right. So we could finish right here, and this would be done. Now, if I wanted a little chunkier soup, you can leave out some of the vegetables. Don't blend the entire thing. Just leave some out and add that back in later. I am going to add this back into my original pot. And add some additional ingredients, one of which is going to be a half can of coconut cream. Now, you could use coconut milk. If you use coconut milk, use a whole can. The only difference is that coconut cream has less water in it than coconut milk. So I'm just going to add in a half can of my coconut milk. You know, here, why don't I bring it over here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to add that in and stir it up. Let me grab my spatula. Up here it is. Stir that up. In addition, I want to add about a spoonful or teaspoon of salt. Certainly add less if you're watching your salt intake. I'm going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon right there. And then I'll taste it and see how I like it. I'm going to add in about a half teaspoon of ground pepper. And a half teaspoon of chili paste. I have a Thai red curry paste here. Add in a half teaspoon of that. I'm going to give that a nice stir. Kind of get the chili paste mix. And then I'm going to put it back on the stove and just let it simmer for a few minutes. It doesn't need to go for long. It just needs to heat through again. You do not want it to boil. You just want it to come to a low simmer. So I'm going to put it on a low temperature. Right now I have it on medium-low until it comes up to temperature, and then I'll turn it down to the lowest heat just for a few minutes, just to heat it through, and we're done. And what does it look like? Remember, we had our wonderful bowl here. What I did was I just put a little bit of parsley flakes on top, and then drizzle a little bit of that coconut cream, just so that you get a nice little design on top. You can serve this with some crumbled bits on top of meat, of your protein. You could add tofu into this if you wanted a little bit additional protein. But it's a delicious dish in and on its own. Good for our health and tastes delicious. So I hope you enjoyed the cooking program, what I could show for you. I'm sorry that the first half did not record, but that's showbiz, right? Anyway, hope to see you next week. Hopefully we'll have an entire show again, and we'll figure out what this video problem is. Until then, have a great week. Stay healthy. If you have any suggestions of recipes you'd like to see, please, by all means, IM me, and I'd be happy to see whether I can come up with one. All right? Have a good time, and have a good week. We'll see you next week.